just to let you guys know, when you're at home on remote, I take attendance based on letting you in. If you come in late, I'll mark you in, whatever. But then I'll take it again at the end. If you're not here in the end, then I'm not counting it. You're not going to get on and get your credit and then get off. Okay, so you have to be both places. So you need to make sure that you watch the full Zoom to get credit. Otherwise, it's do your assignment. Also, remember that if you are not active in the Zoom, that you have till midnight to do. You guys are fine. You're present here, but those on Zoom, you're good as well. But if you ever miss a Zoom, make sure that you get that assignment done by midnight. It doesn't matter why you missed the Zoom, so you don't have to tell me like, "Hey, I missed the Zoom because I had to work." That's okay, not a big deal. But you have to get that assignment complete. So what you will see is once we finish this Zoom, I'll go in and take attendance. If you are not here or you didn't participate in the Zoom, it'll show up as an absent. So I'll go ahead and mark you absent. Tomorrow, if you've completed your assignment by midnight, that absence will go away. So don't freak out when you see one. As long as you get your work done, you're going to be fine. Okay. And I will go back and change that whenever. But for you guys sitting in class and you guys on Zoom right now, you're good to go. So don't worry about it. So what we're going to do today is solving multi-step equations, and it's things that you've already done. So you should know how to do this. It should be a little bit of a review for you, but I may teach it a little different than what other teachers have taught it. If you like it a different way, then please by all means do that way. If you like it my way, then do it my way. So it's kind of up to you. Some teachers draw the little wall. If you draw that, I'm okay with it. You do what you like. All right. So the first thing that we're going to do is solve multi-step equations. I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions and I need you to answer them because it's very important that you listen and participate, whether you're on Zoom or you're here. If you're on Zoom, it's just a matter of unmute real quick and then mute right back. You don't have to be open all the time or anything like that. So when we're solving this very first one, we have x divided by 3 plus 5 equals 14. Here's my first question. What are we solving for? What are we solving for? What are we trying to get by itself?
X.
X. So we're trying to solve for X. Good job. So how are we going to solve it? This is the question that I always ask. What is on the same side as X, but not with it? So if we're looking at this equation, what I mean by the same side is on the same side of the equal marks. But what is not with the X? That is what you want to get rid of first in multi-step equations. So this 3 is inside the parentheses with the X. We're going to leave it alone. It is with X. The thing that is not with X is the plus 5. To get rid of it, we're going to do opposite operations. So what's opposite of addition? Subtraction. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to subtract 5. And what we do to one side, we have to do to the other. What we do to one side, we have to do to the other. These 5s will cancel out, leaving me with just x divided by 3. And on this side, if you need a calculator, please use one. If you don't, I don't care. It's not a huge deal to me. But you should be able to do 14 minus 5. What is 14 minus 5? Anybody? 9. So there's one step. If we had a one-step equation, we'd be done. But since we have multi-step, we're going to keep going. Okay. So this time we have x divided by 3. What do we need to get rid of? If we just want x by itself, what do we need to get rid of? It's not a hard question. Check it out. What do we need to get rid of? What is with x that we need to get rid of? The 3, yeah. So we're dividing 3. What's the opposite of divide? Multiply. Okay. When we multiply this side, it gets rid of it. That's why we do that. And we're just left with x. And then 9 times 3, because what we do to one side, we do to the other, is going to be 27. Remember that you can always check your answers if you'd like. It is not required. It is not required. But remember when you're doing that EDIA or EDIA, whatever we want to call it, that app, and you have to get 10 or so right, you might just want to pop it in there and check it. And the way we can check it, I'll keep it real fast. Sorry, y'all. Unprepared. How do you run things? You guys are more than welcome to get one of these when you need it. If it's on your phone, you can use your phone. If it's on your Chromebook, use your Chromebook. Okay. So we're going to plug it in for x. So what we have is 27 divided by 3 plus 5, and we're going to see if that equals 14. So you literally put it into your calculator, 27 divided by 3 plus 5, and we get 14, so we know we got it right. Okay, it's a quick check to make sure that you don't have to do an extra problem on that app. Okay, look at your next one. It says solve x plus 5 divided by 2 minus 6 equals -5. Answer the question again. What are we solving for?
X.
X. Check out the sides, what's on the same side but not with it. And remember that parentheses group stuff together. So they're all one unit when they're inside a parentheses. So that's all together. So what is not with it?
-6.
How do I get rid of a -6? Add 6. Perfect. What I do to one side, I do to the other. All right. So we're going to subtract that. We're going to mark it out because it doesn't count anymore. They keep each other out. And then I'm left with x plus 5 over 2 equals 1. Now remember with fractions, there's a top, a numerator, and a bottom, a denominator. So x is on this side. We need it by itself. What is not with the x? The 2, because it's on the bottom. It's not on the top with x. So we're dividing 2. How do I get rid of a divide?
Times.
Multiply it. So that's what we're going to get rid of. What I do to one side, I do to the other, so that those will cancel out. We're left with x plus 5 equals 1 times 2 is 2. The only thing left with x is a plus 5. How do I get rid of plus 5? -5. And again, if you need a calculator for this, go ahead and use it. It's not a huge deal to me. 2 minus 5 is -3. If we want to check it on our calculator just to be sure, I'm going to show you a trick real fast and it'll be on the video. So if you forget what it is, you'll know. If you do alpha, which is the green key, I'm going to try to slide it up here. Alpha, green key, y equals, it'll give you this divide stuff right here. So now I have that top. Instead of x, we're going to plug in -3. And there's a plus 5 on the top. On the bottom, there's a 2. And then we had a -6. I moved over and did -6. That does give us -5, so we know we got it right. Okay, so it takes 2 seconds to just check it really fast. I don't require it, but it might be good for you so you're not doing 50,000 questions on that app, okay? All right, example 3. Example 3. We're going to solve 3 times c, divide 15, minus 1 equals -31. So we want to know what's on the same side as c, because that's what we're solving for, but not with it. So parentheses are grouped together. This 3 is with that parenthesis. So what is not with all of that? How do I get rid of a -1? Add 1. Perfect. Add 1 to both sides. These ones cancel out. You're left with 3 times c over 15 equals, and it should be -30. All right, from here, you may do different things, okay? I could have a bunch of different ways that you solve this, okay? So I'm gonna do it the way that I talk about it first, and then I'm gonna show you a way that you may do it just because you think that way, okay? So here, c and 15 are together, so I need to get rid of this 3, okay? How do I get rid of the 3? Parentheses means we're multiplying, right? What's the opposite of multiply? So I'm going to divide 3. That leaves me with c over 15 equals -10. Again, 30 divided by 3, -30 divided by 3 is -10. If you wanted to, and this is just to the side, we're going to hold off on this for a minute. Some of you may see it like this, and you may distribute that 3 in, which is perfectly fine, okay? If you do that, then you're just going to get this 3c over 15 equals -30, okay? How do I get rid of this 15? What are we doing right here? What's this little bar mean? Divide 15. How do I get rid of it? What's the opposite of divide? Multiply. Good. That's okay. So I'm going to multiply by 15. These cancel out. And negative 10 times 15, again, if you need to use a calculator, use it, is negative 150. This is why I don't like this way. It gives you big, huge numbers. On this one, you would have to multiply that 15. And you would get 3c equals negative 450. And then you would have to divide by 3. So you're still doing the same steps. It's just in opposite order. Okay, so whatever you see is perfectly fine. So this is one way to do it. This is the second way to do it. Whatever you like, you do. Okay, I'm not gonna regulate that at all. All right, what's different about this next one? What's different about it? Say it one more time. Yeah, like these had -1, -6, and yeah, we don't have that. What do we have though? You are correct. You're not wrong. What else do we have? What do you see that we haven't seen yet? On the top, right? What's special about 2 of those numbers? There's what I'm looking for. They both have x. What do we have to do to these? What happened? Yeah, we just got to put them together. So we don't want 2 x's in our problem. We just want 1. So we're just going to stick them together. So 2x minus 4x. 2 minus 4 is negative 2, and leave the x with it. That's what makes it like terms. Remember some of your review things, we were talking about like terms. We can put them together because they have the same variable and the same power. Then we have a +6 still left on top, the 4 on the bottom, and then the 5. Now you're going to work it the same exact way. We're solving for x. What's on the same side but not with it? Remember, these are together on the top. So what is not with the x? The 4. How do we get rid of a divide 4? Times 4. Perfect. So we're going to mark those 4s out. We're left with negative 2x plus 6 equals 5 times 4, which is 20. All right. What's on the same side as x but not with it? What number is not with x? Plus 6. How do I get rid of plus 6? Minus 6. I get negative 2x equals 20 minus 6 is 14. Last step, how do I get rid of the negative 2? What are we doing between these two? What operation between negative 2 and x? Add, subtract, multiply, divide. Not quite. What are we doing? How would I read this? Is it negative 2 add x, negative 2 minus x, negative 2 times x, or negative 2 divide x? It's a good try. I appreciate you trying. Nobody else is, so thank you. What do y'all think? So she said add one time, and then she said divide. It's neither one of those. So what is it? Do you see a subtraction? You see a negative, but it's not really a subtraction, it's just a negative. So now what's the only thing left? Multiply. Yeah, so this is multiply. Remember, anything like that, negative 2x, 3x, whatever, is a number times x, a number times x, okay? So this is always multiplication. Doesn't matter if there's a minus, doesn't matter if it's positive, okay? It's always multiplication. So we're going to divide by negative 2 to get rid of it because that's the opposite. And 14 divided by negative 2 is negative 7. Again, and I'm going to show you this one just because we had a problem with that. When we put it in our calculator to check it, how do I get that fraction in my calculator? Do you remember what I told you? Alpha the green key and y equals. Alpha and y equals, and then just hit enter. On the top, we have 2x. That means times. So 2 times, and we got -7. Then it says +6 minus 4 times -7. On the bottom, we had a 4. There's no plus or minus after that. What did it equal? 5. We got it right. Okay, so anytime you see a number and x beside each other, that's multiplication. Don't forget that. So to get rid of it, we divide. Doesn't matter what sign it is. Any questions? Sorry, any questions on the first 4? Everybody okay? All right, flip the next page. We probably won't do all of these, so we're going to do quite a few of them, okay? We got plenty of time. The first one's super easy. What are we trying to solve for? K by itself. What's on the same side but not with it? How do I get rid of the -7? Perfect. Add 7 to both sides. Oh, you should tell me. You just got to tell me, hon. That's it. Thank you. I can't see us. So we get 2K because the 7s cancel out. 23 plus 7 is 30. Here we are again, 2 times K. So don't forget that. This is 2 times K. 2 times K. So to get rid of it, we divide. And that will give us 15. Okay, the next one is exactly the same, We're solving for H. What's on the same side but not with it? A 2. How do I get rid of a +2? Subtract 2. Perfect. 12 minus 2 is 10. Your 2's canceled out, so the only thing you do is bring down the -5H. Make sure you bring down the whole thing, and don't forget that negative, okay? Bring it all the way down. Remember that this is -5 times H. So since it's times, we're going to divide to get rid of it. What I do to one side, I do to the other. Which means your 5's will cancel out, leaving you with just H. And then 10 divided by -5 is -2. And again, if you can't do that in your head, that is perfectly fine. Don't stress out. Use your calculator. 10 divide -5 gives you that -2. Now, realize that eventually, once we get really good at these, you have a part on your final exam that's calculator inactive. So we will work on doing these without calculators. But for right now, I want you to get the steps down. I don't want you to freak out and have to worry about too much at one time. So right now, use your calculators as much as you need to, okay? So ready, good. Don't, even if you have to put in 1 + 1, because there are times that me being a math teacher for a million years, I will do stuff like that just because I'm just trying to go quick, okay? It's not because you're dumb. It's just because you don't want to think about it. And I'm okay with you being a little bit lazy in that respect, okay? So don't stress out. All right, your next one. Number 3. This is one with parentheses. So these are grouped together. You can't split them up yet. What's on the same side but not with it? An 8. It's a +8. So I'm going to subtract it to get rid of it. That leaves us with that C divide -4. And then 12 minus 8 is 4. Sorry, I'm only seeing half my face over there. All right. I have C divide 4, divide -4. I need to get rid of that -4. So how do I get rid of a divide? Multiply. What I do to one side, I do to the other. Again, if you need to use your calculator, 4 times -4 is -16. All right, I'm going to skip around a little bit. I'm going to drop down to number 9. So I'm going to do 9, 10, 11, and 12 because we did ones like that, and then we'll come back to 4 through 8, okay? So we're going to go to number 9. We're solving for x. What's on the same side but not with it? The 2 on the bottom. Remember, the top has to stay grouped together. So if you want to put parentheses, just to remind yourself. We have a divide 2. How do we get rid of a divide 2? Multiply 2. What I do to one side, I do to the other. That leaves me with just the top, 2x plus 4 equal to 8 times 2 is 16. I need to solve for x. What's on the same side but not with it now? Yep. How do I get rid of a plus 4? Subtract 4. So your 4's cancel out. You get 2x equals 12. Remember that this is 2 times x. So how do I get rid of times?
Divide.
Perfect. Divide by 2. Great job. What I do to one side, I do to the other. And 12 divided by 2 is 6. Perfect. Great job, guys. All right, I'm going to go to number 10. Number 10. Let's see if I can keep that one on there so you guys can see it. And number 10. I need to solve for x. What's on the same side but not with it? 3. Yep. Remember, the 7 is with the x on top, so we kind of got to keep those together. To get rid of a divide 3, we multiply 3 just like on the last one. So your 3's will cancel out. You're left with 7 plus x. And 9 times 3 is 27. I need to solve for x, so I need to get rid of this 7. How do I get rid of this positive 7? Subtract this 7. It cancels out, and we get x is equal to 20. That's it. All right, so number 11 and 12 will kind of lead into 4 through 8. So same concept. The only difference is this time we have a number outside of this parenthesis. So I've been writing the parentheses so it'll kind of look the same. All right. So what we want to do is still get rid of this bottom number first. That 2 and the x minus 4 is all in that numerator together. So we're going to leave it. And we're going to get rid of divide 5 by multiplying 5. What I do to one side, I do to the other. So I'm going to write down the numerator, 2 times x minus 4 equals, and 12 times 5 is 60. This is just like that last problem that I showed you that you can do 2 ways. If you want to distribute in, perfectly fine. I feel like that's an extra step for a mistake. Okay, that's what I worry about. So what I go ahead and do is get rid of this 2. Remember, this is multiplication. You know that because you times it. So I just go ahead and divide it. So that way I can get rid of it and not have to worry about messing up my distribution. So with the 2 gone, that gives me x minus 4. And then half of 60, or 60 divided by 2 is 30. All right. How do I get rid of a minus 4? Add 4. And I get x equals 34. Perfect. Now again, if you want to distribute, you can do that. It's honestly up to you. So here's what I'm talking about. If you get to this point right here, and you want to distribute, that's fine. Just make sure you distribute to both. That's the problem that I usually have, is this 4 doesn't get touched. So it should be 2x minus 8 equals 60, and then solve from there. I like to go ahead and get rid of it so I don't screw up the distribution. So it's up to you, whichever one you want to do. All right, look at number 12. What am I going to do first on number 12? It looks exactly like number 11. What's on the same side as x, but not with it? The -5, yep, but it's a divide -5. How do I get rid of divide? Multiply by -5. So leave the top, 3 times 2 plus x equals 3 times -5, which is -15. The 2 is with the x, so I want to get rid of the 3. Remember, this is a multiply, 3 times all of that. So I'm going to divide it to get rid of it. I get 2 plus x equals -15 divided by 3 is -5. And again, if you need to use your calculators, use your calculators. Last step, how do I get rid of this +2? Minus the 2. And -5 minus 2 is -7. All right, any questions? All right, look at number 4. All right, same thing. Here's what I'm going to show you. These are together and cannot be touched yet. What is not with it? The 5. It's a +5. So how do I get rid of it? Subtract the 5. Once I do this, it's going to look like the last problem. Okay, so your 5s cancel out. You get 4 times n plus 9. I just brought that straight down. Equals -3 minus 5 is -8. Okay. Now, it looks like the other steps that we had before, where I told you this 4 is on the outside. So let's go ahead and get rid of it by dividing. We're left with n plus 9 equals -2. How do I get rid of a +9? -9. And I get n equals -11. Again, use your calculators if you need to. Those of you sitting in here, once we finish, if you need them for your homework, they're up there. Just when you finish, put them in that box so I can clean them. All right, everybody okay so far? You good? All right, look at your next one. All of this has to stay together. This -4d minus 3 has to stay together. So what did I not highlight? How do I get rid of a +7? Subtract it. I'm just going to bring all of this down here. So -4d minus 3 in parentheses. What's 23 minus 7? Perfect. Now it's just like the last one. What did I do on the next one? What do I do on this? I need to get rid of this -4 because it's not with that d minus 3. So how do I get rid of that -4? It's on the outside. Remember, it's being multiplied. So what do? Divide it. Just like the last one. So even though we had a +4 on this one, we divide it. This one's just a -4. So we go ahead and divide it. It's not a -4. It's a -4. So we're left with d minus 3, and 16 divided by -4 is -4. How do I get rid of a -3? +3. -4 plus 3 is -1. All right, I'm going to skip to number 8. This number 5 and number 8 are the same problem. Okay, different numbers, same problem. So again, this -4 and these parentheses have to go together. What do I need to get rid of first? How do I get rid of the +9? -9. So they cancel out. We bring down that whole highlighted section, -4, 2p minus 1 equals, what is 45 minus 9? 2 check it. 45 minus 9. 36. Everybody good? Good job. I got to get rid of this -4. Remember, even though it's negative, it's on the outside and we're multiplying it. So to get rid of it, we divide it. Your -4s cancel out. We get 2p minus 1 equals -9. How do I solve? I'm looking to get p by itself. What's on the same side but not with p? How do I get rid of a -1? +1. Good job. I get 2p equals -8. And then how do I finish it? Remember, if they're side by side, that's multiply. How do I get rid of a multiply? Divide by 2. We get p equals -4. Good job, guys. Excellent. All right, 2 more, and I'm going to leave you alone, okay? 2 more, and I'll let you do your homework assignment. We're going to go back up to number 6 because it's the easiest of the 2, and then we're going to finish with the challenging 7. Got it? All right. Number 6. Remember that this stuff has to stay together. So what do we need to get rid of and how? What's on the same side that we need to get rid of? -19, so add it to get rid of it. Very good. 5 plus 19. What do we get? 24. Perfect. 6 and q minus 5. That 6 is not with the q, so how do I get rid of that 6? Try again. Divide, yeah. Good job. 24 divided by 6 is 4, and then we're left with q minus 5. Last step, how do I get rid of that 5? Got it. Perfect. Thank you for answering. I appreciate it. We get 9 equals q. Very good. And like I said, 1 more, and I'll let you get to your assignment. And remember, your assignment is from Edia, I don't care how you say it, but it's from there. How many ever you got to get right. Once you're finished getting them right, you're done for me, okay? So you'll have time to do that in just a second. So number 7. This one's a little different because we have 2 t's, okay? We have 2 t's, but we also have parentheses. So it's kind of messing with us a little bit. Since there's a t inside of the parentheses, we need to get rid of those parentheses. How do we get rid of them? You're going to go ahead and distribute. This is the only one that you have to distribute on. You have to. And remember, distribution is multiplication. 2 times 3 is 6, and there's a t. So I always make my t's look really weird so that you don't get them confused with plus marks. So I put a little tail on them. And then we have 2 times -8, which is -16. And then we finish it out with a -4t equals 10. Okay, one more time. If it's outside of parentheses, distribute it. You guys should already know how to do that. 2 times 3 is 6, and put your like term on there, that t. And then 2 times -8 is -16. Finish out the equation. -4t equals 10. Just like before, we don't want 2 t's. We only want 1. So we're going to squish those together. What's 6 minus 4? 2. And they're t's, which makes them like terms. Then we're going to write what I didn't circle. A -16 equals 10. So that's it. The distribution was the hardest part. Put them together. And then now it's an easy equation. What do I need to get rid of? How do I get rid of it? Add 16 to both sides. I get 2t equals 26. And then the last step, how do I get t by itself? Divide by 2, and 26 divided by 2 is 13. Perfect. Any questions? All right, Zoomers, stay on with me, please. I'm going to stop sharing, stop recording.